Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Using Your Voice and Being Seen. Yesterday, we had a really beautiful conversation with the authors of Lineage Speaks, that's coming out on January 21st, about some of the challenges that come along with using your voice and being seen, and these topics of safety and feeling like we are worthy of sharing our story. So today we're going to do the same thing with two more incredible authors. So today we have Trisha and Marite. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Bridget. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. Thank you, Bridget. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, this will be fun. So let's just start with some introductions. So you both are co-authoring this incredible book that has brought me to tears multiple times, and it's coming out on January 21st. So if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit more about who you are, and maybe what you wrote about would be great. And Trisha, we'll just start with you.
Great. I'm Tricia McKenna. I'm a real estate broker here in Arizona and Kundalini yoga teacher, and recently a creator of the Heart Grounded movement, which is just a mission that kind of has developed through my own journey of this spiritual practice that I've developed to be able to be a heart grounded and to be able to be a voice of reason and positivity, even when things are going hard or what we would consider going wrong, like when things go a different way than what we expected. And so I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit more about myself in the story and kind of all the experiences I've went through in order to be able to come to this place and time in my life and to create this container for other people who may be going through challenges to really step into that true authentic self and to still learn to love and accept themselves, even when things may be going what they perceive as wrong.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. And you did such a beautiful job at explaining that in your chapter. So thank you so much, Trisha.
Thank you.
All right, Marite, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey and what you wrote about?
My God. Okay. So my name is Marite. I'm an Italian actress. I've been living in the United States for 5 years. I had to leave last year because of the COVID. I have actually COVID right now. So I'm locked inside home with my parents and I have infected them. So I've been through some healing work recently to letting go a sense of guilt and yes, and like accepting the situation that right now it's pretty difficult everywhere. I'm an actress and theatrical producer. I have produced also a short movie in New York, and I've been on stage with a one-woman show dedicated to Barbara Streisand life on September 2020 in New York City. I'm very proud of this, and I'm a coach as well. I am an acting coach and recently a healing coach. My journey, the journey that brought me here, happened after an important loss that I have experienced. I have lost a very important person in my life, and so I had to work through this like pain, physical pain, mostly physical pain at the beginning. And so I've decided to get help from professionals. In this case, my actual coach, Hannah Ballet Alonso, which is the owner of the Integrative Healing School, she helped me to work on my nervous system, hormonal system, and then through shamanic medicine and many other practices to work on my body. And then I have realized that how much healing and acting are a part of the same dimension, because I've been working for so long on my body, but just to play others people's lives. So getting into characters, using unconsciously my subconscious mind, my five senses, emotional memories, and I discover the power of the body for acting. And then when I realized that I could use it for my own self, I could use it for my own healing, I could use it to heal the nervous system. And just like my life changed. And so I have decided to include on my coaching also some healing stuff that I consider necessarily in the artistic path, and so inserting artistic elements on healing.
So beautiful. You know, it's interesting about the two of you. You also have very different backgrounds. Like Trisha works as a real estate agent and does that very successfully. And then you, Marite, are also an actress. And I love this ability to draw on all of our experiences in life and kind of infuse that into the work that we do. And it's been really beautiful to see and read both of your stories, because that element of self is not lost. So thank you for bringing all of yourself to the table. Something I'd love to open up a conversation about is the importance of community to feel safer in sharing. I know for myself that was really important to have those people with me that just supported me and saw me in my wholeness when I went to start to share aspects of self that I hadn't shared publicly before. So I would just love to hear your take on the importance of community when it comes to using our voices. And Trisha, we'll just start with you, and Marita, you can just chime in after.
So yeah, community is really important. And for me, I've been able to create a couple different communities depending on the part of my life, that is requires community. One of them, my business, and that's the team that I work with, and working with high level real estate agents that are committed to doing the inner work, are committed to coming into the atmosphere with the positive mindset and solution oriented. And then in my personal life, I have a community through the 12-step program that allows me to work through my own wounds and my own what we call them mishaps of things that maybe I could have done better and things like that. And then you have your family community, right? And your family can support you in some ways too. And also because they have their own experiences that they're going through and their own lens that they're seeing things. Sometimes I've had to come to terms that certain family members are not the right ones to carry me through certain areas of my life, and learning to be okay with that. And that creates this beautiful container for that relationship to flourish, because if you're not going to one specific person to get all your needs met, then it creates space for them to do the same thing.
Wow. Yeah. I can relate very much, Trisha. Yeah, I think that
when I know, like in the beginning when I started doing this work, like I'm like, what do you mean I can't tell them everything? And it was kind of a shock to my system at first, but once I started to unpack the codependency patterns that our lineages bring into these current timelines, I started to realize, like, okay, this is definitely a much more healthier way to show up and to be and to experience your relationships.
Yeah.
What about
Totally.
you, Marita?
Well, I think that Trisha touched something really important, which is finding the strength and the awareness that many times the environment we live in is not the best environment for our growth and expansion, and I think authenticity as well. Mm-hmm. So I've experienced the same, and community, it's been a big trigger for me, because I've been thinking for a long time that I had to be careful of community. I had to be careful of people outside. I had to be careful of showing up the way I really am. And it's not a case that my show, it's called The Way I Am. Mm-hmm. And so changing this story, the story that it's safe to be in community and it's safe to expose. It's been hard, and it took me long time. And another point is that, I mean, the real enjoyment comes when I think you realize that you can choose your own people, and you are not like you don't have to be with the people you've been raised with, and you don't have to be stuck with the same friends of your past. So that doesn't mean that you have to disappear or not being available for others. But I mean, the great realization is I get to choose.
Yeah.
And then everything comes easy, and people comes to you. So community is fundamental in this process. And so that's why I'm very happy to be a co-author in a project with other women, because it doesn't make me feel alone in this difficult process. Because as you said many times, this is very intimate, and we're sharing stories that are they're not easy for many of us to tell.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's this like narrative that tends to come up for many people when it comes to, being seen or using your voice. And sometimes it sounds like, well, everyone's already doing that, or someone else is doing it better. Like, who the heck am I to share? I don't have 20,000 followers or whatever the narrative is in our minds. So I'm curious for the two of you, what helped you remind yourself that your story was worth it? Trisha, we'll start with you.
I've had 2 or 3 women in my life that have directly reached out to me and told me like how important it is that I continue to do what I'm doing. And it's interesting because like I don't have like a daily exchange of energy with them. It's more like here and there, but they're in the background watching, and they're pulling, even though I don't talk to them on a daily basis, they're pulling positive energy for me to get through whatever they're going through. And so it takes me 3 times to hear something before I actually am able to like absorb it. And then on the 3rd time, I'm like, okay, all right, it's time for me to do this. So I would say outside influences definitely had an impact on this.
Yeah, it helps to have those people who say, share, like it is worthy. You are worthy, like you have something special. So I love that. Great reminder. What about you, Marite?
My story in Lineage Speaks is a story about vulnerability. And I have picked this topic for a reason that means to me a lot. Mm-hmm. That's because for my entire existence, I've been raised in a society where being vulnerable is not a good thing. It's not positive. And so that created lots of like complex inside of me issues, insecurities, and I've been followed a model of person that could have been on my mind accepted outside. And that's the reason probably why I wanted to be an actress, that I wanted to be on stage, because at one point I realized that the only way I can be myself is on stage. So the only way I can express myself is playing somebody else's life. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous if you don't work on yourself, if you don't do your inner work, if you don't understand that vulnerability, it's exactly the key to reach out your desires, your goals, exactly being seen for who you are, being seen with your authenticity and with your emotions, because emotions many times are seen as an enemy, seen as like a problem in society. And after Fabio's death, who was the one who I think fell in love with me because of my vulnerability, after my acting journey, when I fighted going to the United States, paying the best acting schools, trying to survive in life, to do this, just to showing up with my vulnerability. I think that I've received a lot because of this. I've received so many gifts, and from that vulnerability, my life has changed. And I think people, especially in this time of life, especially during this period where we all are everywhere very lost, we need to be vulnerable. We need to have the courage to be vulnerable and to sharing our vulnerability and making this vulnerability the basic to build something toward our change. And I think it's the only way. So that's why I care a lot about my story.
And it's so true. I think one of the beauties of vulnerability is it has this ability to bring us all together, right? And at a time in this world where it's very easy to find reasons why we are all different, or we're choosing different things, or we believe in different things, I believe our vulnerability, our emotions, and just sharing stories, it humanizes the entire situation. So we're not fighting against someone else's beliefs. It's just like, I see you in your wholeness. I see you for your experience. And there's a lot of beauty in that.
Yeah, totally. I think that, but also, you know what, like doing this body work, it's a release. Every time that I used to go on stage, working on truth, because the most difficult thing in acting is you got to find the truth you want to give your character. Otherwise, it's just acting. It's not nice to watch. It's not nice to play. So when you do this kind of work on your body, and you realize that because of your truth and because of the emotions that you have, because of your life experience, there is a storage inside of your body of emotions that can serve you. I mean, not just for acting, but in life, to open channels that can bring you far away from where you are right now. And so working on the body, it's like my passion. And I think working on the body means working on your emotional life. And so touching vulnerability. And sometimes I work with students, actors, who tell me, I can't cry for real. I'm a man. I can't cry. I say, you're an actor. You have to cry. And that has to be real if you want to be a good actor. But in general, you can cry. You have to cry in your real life, not just because you're playing somebody else, right? I'm always very shocked by this kind of public persona we live in. And when you get to know the method acting, you get to know that everyone has a public persona, a tragic flaw, which is what we do to cover vulnerability. But mostly we have the need inside of us, which is vulnerability. And it's everything, and everything starts from that element of the character. And it's the same in life. So if we don't explore, if we don't own this vulnerability, we're not going to make anything, we're not going to go too far in our lives.
Wow, so beautifully said. And it's perfect as it ties into what Trisha was saying about body language in using our voices. So Trisha, I'd love for you to share some of your insights on how body language relates to us using our voices.
Whew, that last part was really powerful. So going back to the emotions, like we feel them in different parts of our body. And you know, there's experiences that we have and where fear comes in, right? And just kind of being able to connect to that part of us and just love it first before we go into that interchange of dialogue with the person that we're working on communicating with. And, you know, too, I don't want to go deep into the chakras and all that stuff, but you can actually connect to different chakra points in your body. Like if you're needing to be very like assertive in that moment, you connect to your root chakra. If you're wanting to be very loving in the moment, you connect to your heart chakra, and you project what you're wanting to communicate from those spaces in your body. And I've noticed, like, for me personally, the people I'm closest with, it doesn't matter what I say, it matters how I'm showing up. And sometimes that can be just like physical touch and communicating with that person, like putting my hand on their shoulder or holding their hand, or giving them a hug first. It's just, you have to, each person is so unique in how they are able to receive information. Some people, you have to be a little bit more assertive with. Some people you need to be more gentle with. And it's just kind of like, when you're doing this work and when you're working on the body, and for me, my Kundalini yoga practice allows me to kind of be more intuitive with what it is that that person is going to need, how that person needs me to show up when I am communicating with them. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And then in the business world, I was taught to mirror their body language. So if somebody shows up and they're talking to me and they're crossing their arms, I can gently step back and cross my arms. Or if they're sitting down, then I can sit down, and learning to mirror the body language when it's in the business world and when it's with people that you don't have a close familial relationship with. So those are some of my tools and takeaways and things that I've learned that have helped me have better experiences with people. And then I always say, if it doesn't go the way that you wanted it to, give yourself some grace, because we're all learning.
We are definitely all learning. So true. So the book Lineage Speaks is coming out January 21st, and I'd love to hear from the two of you what it has felt like in the past when you read someone else's story. Like, what did that open up within you? Because I think we all hope that when someone reads our own stories, that same thing can happen for someone. So in your experience, what has opened up within you when you've read someone's story and really felt what they were there to share? Marite, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Trisha.
Well, I think that first of all, I've decided to publish, to ask you to participate, to publish, because I've read first my coach chapter in the previous book, Legacy Speaks. And she's been through in situations close to mine, like the loss of her mom, and I've been completely that it was really powerful. That was really powerful. And she was so she is the most inspirational person in my life. I have chosen her coach as a coach for this reason. But the power of the words and the power of how she combined those words to tell her story in 6-7 pages inside a collection of other stories with the same amount of power. I said, okay, that's potent. I want to do something similar, because this is really potent. And that made me think a lot about how do I want to show up? What do I want to share? Why do I want to share it? How much is important to me? Why she did inspire me so much? And also from the other side, thinking, if she did it, I can do it. Also, stop just looking other people doing things and moving forward and getting their goals, but starting doing my things as well without judgment, but accepting the risk of being seen. And so I think, yeah, that's what happened to me.
Yeah, it shows us what's possible. And it really is true. Words, I believe words move hearts and minds. Like they literally strike a chord within us and invite us into our own understanding of that thing that was talked about. So I think that's a beautiful reflection. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Trisha, what about you?
So we're talking about like other stories we've read.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at how there's always a tiny burst of connection, of similarity. And we may not have experienced everything that same person went through, but we've experienced something that same person went through. And that's the magic in it. It's like, oh, okay, God. And it's like, I believe everybody that came together for this book was, it was because we had those connections and we had that experience, that one little tiny experience together, and we can relate to each other. And I think the power of that is we get to see it through a different lens. And when we see it through a different lens, we get to rewrite how our experiences impacted us. And for me, this book was about, prior to writing it, I was still connected to the attachments of somewhat of the trauma of it. But doing this experience, doing this project and reading the other women's stories, it's allowed me to put that chapter behind me and decide how to move forward. And so I'm no longer attached to it. I can speak about these things without crying. I can speak about these things without attaching those strong emotions to them anymore. And I can speak about them from a place of warrior. Yes, I'm a badass. And
Oh, I think the connection went for a moment there, Trisha.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Well, I could cry just sitting here. So
Yeah.
inspired. Like, thank you, Marite, for being.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you for everything. I am very grateful for being part of this project, for you, for all the women co-authors of the book. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait to touch the book in person.
Me too. Trisha, we lost you for a moment there, but just
that's all right.
Big hugs. You were saying amazing things, so big hugs.
I broke the internet.
Yeah, broke the internet. Just so much gratitude for the two of you for being here today and just having this like deeper conversation. I think, we did a lot of this within our community, and it feels good to kind of step out and speak about it too. So thank you for being willing to go there and be seen another time. And we're just so excited for the launch of this book. So everyone, we hope that you'll support us reading these incredible women's chapters, and also knowing that the proceeds of this book are going to LMU Girls, which is incredible because their mission of giving young women in Kenya who are escaping child poverty and marriage at a very young age and not having the same, resources that many of us do. They're giving them the ability to start a business, to start a bank account, to have that community. So it could not be more in alignment with the work that this book is kind of putting out there into the world. So just big thank yous to everyone. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you,
Bridget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha.
We'll be back with another episode of The Power of Using Your Voice and Being Seen tomorrow. And just thank you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye.